Good morning. Good morning. We are here with Andrew, co-founder of SX Network, for our monthly community call to provide updates on the roadmap of the launch of the SX Network chain. And I present to you Andrew from SportX. Good morning, Andrew.
Hey, Ahmed, how's it going? Excited to be here.
Amazing. Give me just one moment and we're going to go ahead and get started. If there's anything you'd like to share with everyone. It's been a very eventful month. The updates are coming at a frenetic pace.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to get through today. We got a pretty beefy slide deck, which I'll kind of slowly go through, and then we have a bunch of questions that I'll also kind of answer. Let's get this. So once you send me the link and you share that, I can kind of start. I'm going to follow sort of a similar format to last month. So what I mean by that is just kind of give a broad overview of the kind of mission and vision of what we're trying to achieve with SX Network, and then sort of give a quick update on last month specifically. Sort of talk about both SportX, SX protocol, and then also kind of all the different applications that are coming to the SX network. And then finally, like I said, sort of just go through one by one through some of the questions that were asked in the Discord. And hopefully we can kind of keep this around the 30-minute mark. But like I said, it's a pretty beefy slide deck to get through. So
It is.
We'll see what happens. Okay.
These are such exciting times. No sleep. And yeah, we can go ahead. I just shared it with the community, and 1 second, I sent you the link as well. Yep, there we go. The tweet is out, and so we have the blockchain ecosystem for sports betting, prediction markets, and DeFi. That is SX Network. This is the month of September, and we are joined by Andrew, co-founder of SX, and we can begin to go through the slide deck now. Would you like to proceed?
Yeah, let me just quickly share this link with a couple other people, and then we're good to go. Awesome. Let me just do the last couple things. Great. Awesome, guys. Well, I'm sure people will sort of just filter in as we go, but I'll just get started. So SX Network, we describe this as the blockchain ecosystem for sports betting, prediction markets, and DeFi. This is our September monthly update, sort of recapping everything that's happened in August, I should say, and sort of going through the overall vision, mission, strategy of what we're trying to achieve, and then kind of going through some of the Q&A. So next slide. So first of all, I'm just kind of lay out the problem and sort of what we're trying to achieve. It's really hard to build a blockchain prediction market. We've been doing this for 3.5 years, so I would say we're sort of the experts at this point in terms of trying to do this. And we sort of narrowed it down on 3 main core problems. Fee sensitivity. So that's the fact that prediction markets typically have a lower average transaction size and therefore are more prone to rapid rises in transaction fees, which is actually sort of similar to NFTs in a way. Unsuitable data, this is a really big one. So blockchains are irreversible, which is great in a lot of ways for users. It means payments can't be sort of reversed. As we know, that's a huge problem in the sports betting world. But it's very difficult on the in terms of creating a blockchain prediction market because you can't have any errors. You have to have a very low error rate in terms of data reporting, which is difficult, which makes it really difficult to integrate kind of traditional data feeds, which have sort of a higher error rate. And then finally, generic design. Won't go too much into this, but for the most part, public blockchains aren't specially designed for the prediction market use case. And so overall, we just think public blockchains aren't designed for the prediction market use case, which makes it tough to build a blockchain prediction market. Next slide. So SX Network is the leading prediction market ecosystem. And there's sort of three things that we're trying to do with SX Network. We're trying to have a customized network, so custom designed for sports betting and prediction market use case. We're trying to kind of aggregate the prediction market community into one ecosystem. And then finally, trying to create this complementary atmosphere where we have a bunch of different applications that are taking different angles on this use case and sort of helping each other bring crypto adoption to the mainstream. Next slide. So SX Network, as it is today, consists of three core interrelated platforms. We have SportX, which is the consumer-facing side, which everyone's sort of familiar with. Hosts 500 prediction markets a day. That's facilitated over $50 million in bets. There is the SX protocol, which is an open source protocol that facilitates essentially the back end of SportX, and also has the SX token and the SX treasury. And then finally, SX blockchain, which we announced a couple of months ago, which is a highly scalable EVM-compatible proof of stake blockchain built using the Polygon SDK and truly built in conjunction with the Polygon team. And we're launching that in October. Next slide, please. So SX is the fastest growing prediction market protocol from what we can tell from our research. You can kind of see that 2019, 2020, we're sort of in the $4 to $6 million betting volume. And so far, sort of 8 months through this year, we've hit around 45 million. I suspect we'll sort of hit 100 million on the year, just given kind of the increased volumes of the fall. Approximately 80% of that volume has come in the last 6 months alone. So yeah, if we hit 100 million, that sort of represents a 20x increase on last year. Next slide. So as you guys know, SX Protocol is already highly profitable. The community fund has generated $1 million of sort of crypto assets for the community fund. As you guys know, the community fund receives all SX Protocol fees, which consists of the sort of 4% fee on profits, which kind of comes out to a 2% fee on total volume. Obviously, there's discounts that can be applied if you have enough SX tokens staked. And as of now, the community fund, like I said, has around, it's actually a little bit different just because crypto sort of dipped in the last couple of days, but has around $1 million in sort of non-SX, and then also has around 66 million SX in it, which is around the $39 million total assets. And then is also receiving approximately another 400 million SX over the next 3.5 years, which the SX token holders and community can sort of decide what to do with. Next slide. So SX blockchain is home to many complementary applications. We have kind of the prediction markets, which, I mean, it's kind of crazy though. We just keep putting logos on this thing. But on the prediction market side, we got SportX, PunchBet, which is built on SX protocol, BlitzPick, which is kind of I call it the ether scan of sports betting, and then AthleteX, which is a super innovative project launching fairly soon, which is tokenized athlete performance. Then we have gaming, which includes RageFan, which we announced, I believe, last week. It's a blockchain-based daily fantasy sports platform. Treasure Key, which is a suite of casino games. Lunabets actually hasn't been announced yet. Decentralized finance, and then finally decentralized finance. We have Polycrystal Finance, Adamant Finance, Imprimax, and then also XDollar, which announced the SX stablecoin. All 4 of those DeFi projects actually announced in the last, I guess, 3 or 4 weeks. I'm just remembering from our last call last month, we had, I think, 2 logos on the screen, and it's great to see that we have, I guess, almost 11 now. So things are moving very fast. SX Network was built for prediction markets and gaming, but increasingly, like I said, we're sort of attracting DeFi applications. Next slide. So just quickly go over SX token. As you know, you can stake SX token to sort of participate in governance, and then later you'll also be able to validate the SX blockchain with it and earn fees for doing so. You can also delegate. There'll be delegation as well, so you don't actually have to run a validator yourself. SX will also be used as the transaction fee and sort of medium of exchange, similar to how ETH is used in Ethereum, and the unit of count within the SX blockchain. Those are kind of the three primary functions of SX token. And next slide. There's kind of three secondary functions as well. So SX is going to be used as collateral within this kind of rapidly emerging DeFi ecosystem. That includes sort of serving as the base pair in these SX network native AMMs that are going to be coming online, as well as in the SX stablecoin that was announced, I believe, yesterday. It's also used as app currency. I mean, the obvious one is just as a discount token in SportX. It's going to be a betting currency in Treasure Key. There's a number of kind of different applications like that. And then finally, token burn. We're working with the Polygon SDK team to introduce in sort of a burning into the SX token, similar to ETH, where every transaction on the SX network actually burns SX. Next slide. So this is kind of the vision of SX network that we're really, really excited about long term. And that's essentially solving the governance problem. Blockchain governance is kind of the biggest unsolved problem in the entire crypto space. I think it's pretty fair to say that at this point. Sorry, I'm just seeing some of the comments in Discord. And prediction markets can solve this. At least a lot of people sort of think they can. And essentially, people call it futurarchy, which is sort of an academic term. But the idea is you can use betting markets instead of voting to decide on matters of governance. There's a lot of limitations with this. For the most part, you need to have economically, you have to have essentially proposals and policies that are objective, because as we know, prediction markets have to have sort of an objective market settlement mechanism. You can't have ambiguous markets, which has kind of been a big problem in the past with other prediction market projects. And they need to be economically unprofitable to game. And I'm going to actually release more research into kind of what that means more specifically. So anyways, we're going to be the first blockchain to implement sort of futurarchy and prediction market governance. Sort of give an example right here where you could kind of goes through how this could be applied to a policy to increase liquidity mining rewards, for example. Obviously, we've already built sort of the back end and the front end of a blockchain prediction market. And so this is sort of the natural, we are the natural team to try to solve governance with prediction markets, I would say. And we're really excited about that. And that's kind of the long-term vision of SX Network. Next slide. So the 2021 roadmap, or I should say the last kind of 4 months of 2021, our goal is to get to 100 apps on SX Chain by the end of 2021. We're sort of starting in October with 15. There's been 11 announced so far, and so I think that should be pretty reasonable. Our initial goal was to get 5 to 10, but sort of things have been going much better than expected. Multiple different front ends accessing the SX protocol. So SportX is kind of the first one, and for that reason, a lot of people sort of think of SportX and the SX protocol as the same thing. But we have a couple of different front ends that are going to be hooking into the SX protocol. PunchBet I already mentioned, and some others as well. And then finally, hoping to get to kind of $20 million of betting volume per month. We're launching this betting bonus pretty soon, which should help with that as well. Our goal with SX Network is to become kind of the largest ecosystem of prediction markets. So now we'll give kind of the August update. SX protocol volume came in around the $4.5 million mark, which is a little bit less than sort of before the summer started, but that's kind of due to seasonality. That represented a 800% increase from last year. September is likely to come in as a big month, obviously because sports are sort of coming back, and then we expect to sort of hit smash all-time records, I would hope, in October. The SX Community Fund currently has around $36 million USD in it, with the bulk of that obviously in SX, and then sort of a growing portion of non-SX funding in the form of DAI, USDC, and ETH. We're working on an update, hoping to get it out this month. There's obviously a lot of stuff going on with SX blockchain as well, but sort of gamified onboarding flow, first bet bonuses, tons of new betting options. We actually have halftime lines up for NFL already up on sort of prod testing. Finally, there's kind of a few SX farming opportunities right now, DinoSwap, but then SX governance actually passed a proposal to fund an ApeSwap LP farm, and so that's actually going to be coming online pretty soon. Next slide. So yeah, anyway, so now I'm going to go over some kind of Q&A from the Discord, sort of do this rapid fire, and then I think we can kind of get everyone out by that 30-minute mark. So yeah, Mohammed, do you want to kind of ask those or?
Yeah. Okay, we'll start with the first question. How would it work if you got liquidated since staked SX is locked up for 60 days?
Okay, yeah, sorry. I think we should have added a little bit more to that. That's actually referring to the SX stablecoin, which was announced yesterday. The X Dollar team is sort of working on in conjunction with the SX community, which is a great project. Honestly, recommend anyone kind of to go check out the article that was released yesterday to learn more about it and check out the X Dollar team. So this question was sort of in regards to having staked SX be collateral for this new SX stablecoin. To be honest with you, on the start of the launch of SX stablecoin, it's going to be it won't actually use staked SX right on day one, but that is the goal because obviously that's kind of the best way to like as someone who has staked SX, I would rather sort of keep my SX staked while I can also mint stablecoins against it. But anyways, the first thing we have to do is actually tokenize the staked SX positions. That hasn't been done yet. We sort of didn't do that in the first version of staking just because for security reasons. And so once you have tokenized staked SX, you can actually integrate it as sort of a direct collateral for direct collateral in this stablecoin. And then from there, it can kind of be liquidated in the same way that normal SX can be liquidated. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, we're going to be releasing a lot more details on the SX stablecoin in the next little bit. But yeah, really excited about that project.
Okay, next question. Can you talk about how SX will inherit security from other chains and give an honest pros and cons in that regard, or maybe a list of pros and cons?
Yeah, that's a great question. SX Network is going to have very similar is going to inherit security in the same from Polygon in the very similar way to how Polygon inherits security from Ethereum. That's why some people have called SX Network kind of like a layer 3, which is kind of a cool name. But honest pros and cons. So I guess the pros are for us is that we kind of get to from day one sort of hook into the security and decentralization of Polygon, rather than having to sort of bootstrap our own security budget, I guess, from day one ourselves. There'll obviously also be sort of our own SX validator set, which will sort of, like Polygon and many other chains, will sort of start off small and then grow over time as it becomes more and more decentralized and distributed. The pros to this, I guess the cons are, it's less secure in a lot of ways than a true layer 2 like Optimism or Arbitrum. But I think the pros are that for one, it'll have sort of much cheaper fees, I believe. Well, it actually for sure will have cheaper fees than something like Optimism or Arbitrum. I mean, that's really the main thing I would say. It also gives us kind of more flexibility. I also think users aren't yet sort of, at least from what we've talked to people, don't totally understand sort of the security benefits of Optimism and Arbitrum in a lot of ways. I think that will sort of change as the market gets more and more educated. But I think really it's kind of, you can kind of think of SX is to Polygon what Polygon is to Ethereum, to give kind of a short answer to that.
Thanks. Any updates on a cash out feature?
Yeah, this has been sort of something we've been working on. Cash out feature is actually mostly built on the testing front. It just needs a contract redeploy, which is something we've been holding off just given all of the SX network blockchain stuff we're sort of launching in the next couple of weeks. So I would say a tentative timeline is this fall, but it sort of, again, depends on the launch of SX network.
And other features on technology roadmap?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the one that's really interesting is this betting bonus that's going to be coming online in the next couple of weeks. It's kind of like a deposit bonus, but you can't do deposit bonuses in a non-custodial prediction market. It's actually just another one of the things you can't do in a non-custodial environment. But what you can do is you can do sort of a betting bonus or like a first bet bonus. And you sort of need a way to prevent it being cyber attacked. So like people gaming it, which requires some sort of either identification or decentralized identity, which is sort of still being worked on. Anyway, so that's going to be great because one of the kind of biggest problems with blockchain prediction markets is sort of conversion. So having people, haven't had much trouble getting people aware of the sort of project. And then once people have sort of started trading on the protocol, it's quite easy for them. Like people don't really leave just because it's such a great community and the sort of SX liquidity mining or bet mining, I should say, and all sorts of other features. But the conversion, that middle step, is really sort of the bottleneck. And so we're really excited about the SX first bet bonus that's coming out in the next couple of weeks. Yeah.
Okay, and will the testnet be open to the public?
Yeah, well, actually, I'll share a link to that very soon. We're just sort of fixing up the faucet right now, and then we'll have it out shortly, so everyone can start playing around with it.
What projects will be available on SX Network from day one?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's sort of tough to know. The very first project that will deploy on SX Network will obviously be SportX. We sort of need to eat our own cooking. And that actually won't be on day one just because usually you sort of let things settle down a little bit after kind of a launch of a blockchain and have to make sure everything is great in terms of the validator set and sort of helping all of our other partners. So I would say SportX will be kind of the very first one. And then it's kind of tough to say which of the other projects will be thereafter. There's some teams working on a sort of community AMM, for example, that hasn't been announced yet. And that will be likely one of the more first projects coming online. Sorry, I'm just seeing some of these Discord comments. But anyway, so that will be sort of one of the first projects, I would say.
How will futures bets settle after the SX network launch, but placed? Okay, it's worded weirdly. How will futures bets placed on SX network be settled after the launch of SX network?
Yeah, it's a great question. Long story short, from a user perspective, it will be sort of seamless. The front end will adjust it for you so that it sort of abstracts it away. And so to anyone with like a futures bet, you won't really notice that anything's off. But essentially your bets will still be on Polygon, and then sort of bets moving forward will be on the SX network. And then the front end will essentially abstract that away for you so that you don't even know.
Okay, when SX network launches, what currencies will we be able to bet with? Ethereum, DAI, and USDC is currently constructed, and how does the new stablecoin project fit into this?
Yeah, that's a great question. So all the current currencies that are used on SportX and the SX protocol will still be there. The new stablecoin project, like I said, we're really excited about it. Initially, we will integrate that as kind of a fourth currency that you can use to trade with. Over time, though, we want to sort of aggregate all the liquidity into one stablecoin, and the SX stablecoin really fits into that vision. The first thing we sort of need to do, though, is have the SX stablecoin be collateralized by both DAI and USDC, which will take a little bit of time to sort of integrate. And then from there, we'll essentially merge all the betting into just the SX stablecoin. And if you're someone who has DAI or USDC, you'll be able to easily mint the SX stablecoin using your collateral. And so that's kind of how we plan to aggregate stablecoin volumes into one market.
Do we have an official launch date for SX Network?
We don't have an official date lined up. We're targeting first week of October, but there's also kind of a number of things we have to work with the Polygon SDK team, just to kind of square away things for launch. But yeah, that's kind of our target date as of now. Yeah, sorry, that's actually all the questions.
Yeah, I was just trying to scroll. I'm like, that's all. Time flies. Time flies when you're dispensing valuable information. Thanks. Are there any other thoughts that you have on some of the questions, or any other pieces of information you'd like to give to the community?
Yeah, no, I think, I hope everyone is sort of as excited about all the things that are happening in the community as we are on the core team. We have sort of doing a ton of things right now, but obviously our main focus is still on growing sort of the ecosystem, which includes now the SX protocol and SportX, but then also sort of all of this kind of new emerging ecosystem of new dApps. I think one thing that's been really interesting is we sort of set out to build a blockchain for prediction markets and sort of gaming applications. And it's been really great to see sort of the uptake in DeFi projects coming online. Like SX stablecoin is a great example of that. And so I think it's kind of nice because we're sort of building these twin ecosystems at the same time. We have sort of the prediction market betting use cases, and then we have these DeFi projects as well. And I think a lot of the part of that too is that a number of the projects on SX Network are unique and going to have their own tokens and sort of their own liquidity and TVLs. And so that is sort of attractive for DeFi projects to tap into. And then also just the fact that we sort of partnered with Polygon team on this. So if you have a project that's already on Polygon, it fits within sort of your community, your Polygon-based community, to also be on SX Network, just because it's part of Polygon. Like I said, TVL that's on SX Network will actually also be TVL on Polygon. So it's very, very much complementary to the Polygon team. And that's why they've been so helpful in terms of building everything out with us and sort of promoting everything. Besides that, quick shout out to the SX Weekly team. Check that out if you haven't seen it. It's a weekly newsletter which covers sort of all the stuff going on in the ecosystem. It comes out every Monday afternoon. Last week was on Tuesday, but that was because of a holiday. And there's a bunch of community members working on that. Mike James, MV Pitbulls, and Fresh Tendies. So thanks to you guys on building that out. We're also building out a growth team as well, which we're going to be sort of announcing in the next couple of days. And there's a ton of stuff. It's kind of hard to stay on top of all the things happening in the ecosystem nowadays, and very excited about all the stuff that's coming down the pipeline.
That was an amazing session, very valuable information, and people have a lot of questions, more questions than answers, but you definitely answered a lot of the questions. And these are very exciting times with the progression of the project. The launch is very soon. And we all thank you for your time today, Andrew. We know you're very busy.
I got one other question. Someone asked, when am I going to cut my hair? The last time we got my haircut was actually March 2020. Which was the bottom of the crypto market cycle. So I think for all of our sakes, I can't cut my hair yet until seems to be the biggest.
No, that's definitely a sign. Don't cut your hair. Don't cut your hair.
But anyways, no, it's great. I think so. Everything's been going really well, and really excited about it. And thanks for everyone for sort of tuning in. And we'll do this. We're going to target doing these sort of monthly community calls on the first Friday of every month. And sort of follow a similar format. I'll have a slide deck kind of explaining everything that's going on. I suspect we will increasingly be spending more and more time sort of just diving into all the new projects coming on SX Network as we continue to grow. So the format will definitely change a little bit, but thanks again for everyone for hopping on, and really excited about all the stuff that's going on in the ecosystem nowadays.
Absolutely amazing. Thank you so much, Andrew, for taking the time to do this. This is something the community has been asking for, and we're looking forward to another community call next month. If anyone's watching who is not following the SX Network official Twitter account, please do so, as that account is dispensing very, very critical information and updates on a daily basis about the progress of the SX Network chain. And definitely join the Discord server as well. The link, you can find the link on the Twitter account, as well as visit the Medium blog, blog.sportx.bet. Also, high quality information as well. And other than that, unless you have anything else on the agenda, we can definitely wrap it up.
Awesome. No, I'm good. Thanks everyone for hopping on. Excited to kind of keep popping out these updates. Yeah, and definitely check out the SX Weekly newsletter if you haven't already. I'll actually put a link to that in the Discord. Yeah.
Shout out to the SX Weekly writers. Yep, we can end it right now.